Good evening, Albany State University colleagues. Welcome to the fourth installment of the President's Virtual Town Hall Series. We are less than 2 weeks away from the commencement of the 2020-21 academic year. Like you, we've been busy preparing to meet the needs and expectations of the thousands of students who've entrusted us with their academic and social development. Despite these unprecedented times and conditions, we remain committed to ensuring the success of our entire student body. To update you on this year's approach to student success, with health and safety being the top priority, is President Fedrick, followed by the institution's area vice presidents. Ladies and gentlemen, it is always my pleasure to welcome you, and always my esteemed pleasure to introduce President Marion Ross Fedrick.
Thank you, Dr. Wilson. Good evening, faculty and staff. Thank you for joining today's virtual town hall. This evening, members of the Return to Campus team and our vice presidents will share important updates related to how we will adjust operations for semester. First, as usual, I want to thank you for your continuous hard work. It is truly appreciated. Continued thanks to the COVID-19 Reentry Task Force for their efforts in support of campus operations. So tonight, we're going to go into a lot of detail. Later this week, you will receive a link to our Return to Campus Operations Manual. We have affectionately named this document Reunited. Tonight's topics will cover updates included in the Reunited document. Some of the items covered include new protocols, procedures, our contingency plan. We'll also talk about our workplace safety, health and safety, our employee health, our classroom expectations, enrollment management and student success, testing, screening, our tracing and isolation protocols, housing and residence life, student affairs, and then we'll round it out by going into athletics. But before we get started, and before we get into the details, let me start by encouraging everyone to fully participate in the changes that are underway to keep everyone safe and healthy. Our campus environment will not be the same as it has been in the past, at least not for a while. So as we go through these changes, remember that we are in this together and we're working on being reunited as soon as we can. A big change, but an effortless change includes wearing your mask. We are providing masks for everyone, and we have backups if needed. Effective July 15th, all faculty and staff, students, and visitors were required to begin wearing a mask. And the wearing of masks does not negate the social distancing requirement that we will also have in place. Remember, the health and safety and well-being of all members of our campus community is the top priority. And so with those guiding principles, we've adjusted quite a bit for this upcoming fall academic year. We've adjusted the academic calendar, instituted mitigation strategies to prevent the spread of COVID-19. And this includes modifications and enhancements to how we're going to do our academic instruction, our campus operations, as well as student experience, everything from the dining rooms to how students will reside in our residence halls and all the above. Students will begin arriving to campus on August the 3rd. That is next week, less than 7 days away. That's earlier than we previously scheduled, but we changed that schedule because we want to actually be able to end the semester at Thanksgiving break on November the 25th. We will not have a fall break. We want students to campus as much as possible. I know that leaves all the weekends between now and then open, but we're actually going to try and encourage our students to stay here on campus, again, to mitigate exposure to COVID-19, if at all possible. We've implemented strategies to continue to eliminate that risk, or at least lessen that risk. We've included more cleaning protocols, of course, wearing our face coverings. We're going to ask for regular personal health checks, and we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail as our vice presidents get on the line. We'll be able to quarantine when necessary. We want to maintain social distancing. We're limiting our room capabilities or capacities, meaning fewer students in the classroom at any given time. We will have the 6 feet social distancing with that process as well. We're modifying our dining services and modifying the approach to student activities to align with all of the guidelines from CDC. You should also notice that each of our classrooms are newly equipped with state-of-the-art technology for optimal in-classroom and virtual instruction. Hats off to our technology services department for working on updating that technology. And you should see that new technology in all of our classrooms, and the vast majority of our classrooms on the East, West, and Cordele campuses. The update will standardize the outfit of ASU's as the university provides remote instruction. So 90 classrooms are now equipped with a True Touch display, which is a highly functional touchscreen TV. I've had the opportunity to work on it a little bit. It allows you to pull up a lot of different things. Each classroom will have mics and cameras, high resolution cameras, so that the student experience is still a positive student experience. Our instructors and our faculty will actually be able to get training. If they have not already been trained on this equipment, they will get training very soon. There's a lot that has changed, and still a lot is going to remain the same. One thing that remains the same is that we are here for our students and to support our students. But I want you to hear the details. Please jot down questions. Please make sure that you are hearing in detail what our vice presidents are speaking about. If you have questions, put that in the chat, and we will try and answer those questions tonight. If we can't get to them all tonight or don't have the answer, we will make sure we update those answers. So I'm going to go forward at this point, and I'm going to ask Mr. Sean McGee to talk a little bit about workplace health and safety measures. Mr. McGee.
Thank you, President Fedrick. Once again, glad to join all of you tonight and give you updates on these important topics. As it concerns workplace health and safety, we've been planning for several weeks now a safe return, and there's many actions around maintaining a safe and healthy workplace that have been considered and implemented. Many communications some of you will have seen, and they'll continue to go out providing general overviews of the COVID-19 prevention and control measures, as well as guidance on how to recognize symptoms of the virus and mitigate the opportunities to spread it. Additionally, there's been changes in policies and procedures arising from managing the virus mitigation, or necessary changes for reentry that have been communicated, and those too will continue to be as other groups return to campus over the next couple of weeks. Our facilities team have been diligent in learning the techniques, the substances, the cleaning products, the frequencies to properly clean these workspaces, and they've been doing that in collaboration with the best practices across our university system and in accordance with the latest CDC guidelines. As part of those best practices, the facilities management staff will regularly clean high-touch traffic areas, including restrooms and handrails, door handles, push bars, common areas, and many more areas of the campus. The facilities and safety staff have also been diligent and intentional about wanting to bring awareness to people that circulate about the campus and taking proactive measures to inform faculty, staff, students, and our visitors that come to campus. Some of those measures include placement of social distancing signage in appropriate locations, reconfiguring furnishings within buildings that will promote and in some cases almost require physical distancing, such as in conference rooms and waiting areas and common areas. They've placed maximum occupancy signage all around common areas and have configured them appropriately. We've also placed physical signage that documents the maximum occupancy of restrooms and classrooms so that it's clear what the required number of people in there are. We've also removed high-touch items from common areas across campus, such as pens that are common use and magazines, and we've placed many more hand sanitizer stations across campus, some mounted on walls, many freestanding in areas as you enter and exit the building. Additionally, you're going to see directional signage that will instruct you which way to enter and exit a building, and all of that is to maintain proper physical distancing. Across the university, all units have identified and are implementing innovative ways to meet with not only our students but with each other, and utilizing technology and other strategies that will encourage the social distancing. So just because we're returning to campus doesn't mean we don't continue to meet virtually when it's appropriate to do so. And as part of the overall university reentry strategy, as the president indicated, we are providing additional materials and supplies to help ensure the safety of our constituencies. And these include plexiglass partitions that we've installed at various stations across campus where students and staff interact in numbers such as in Ram Central and in areas in the library and so forth. We mentioned hand sanitizer stations. We're also providing some hand sanitizer to our staff, and additionally we're providing to the departments sanitizing wipes, disinfectants, and other items necessary to maintain their areas in between the more frequent visits from the facility staff where they're cleaning. Prior to everyone's arrival in the faculty spaces and faculty areas, facilities will complete a full cleaning of those spaces, and we're going to ask that everyone, if they see something, put a ticket in so that facilities can quickly address it and help maintain the safety and the sanitation for the whole campus that way. And most importantly, I think the president mentioned already, but we are providing face coverings, and so each faculty, staff, student, we're going to provide some face coverings, and we're getting extras so that if someone should forget theirs, there'll be some available for them as well. As it concerns our travel and operations around travel for university staff and faculty, we're going to continue to follow the up-to-date CDC travel guidance, and any faculty and staff who are traveling back to campus from a region that has experienced a spike in COVID-19 should follow the appropriate CDC guidelines related to self-quarantine and self-isolation. And then, of course, campus events have been impacted. As the slide indicates, most of our external third-party events we've canceled or postponed through October 1st. The few events that were not canceled were thoroughly reviewed and on an individual basis determined if they met the state's guidelines. And ASU is going to proactively attempt to reschedule all of these events that had to be canceled or postponed should the third party still be interested in holding their event here once it's safe to do so. With that, President Fedrick, I will complete my update on workplace health and safety and return it to you.
Thank you, Mr. McGee. All right, so a lot is going on in that area. What I really want you to take away from part of what Mr. McGee said is that we'll be doing a lot of additional cleaning. We have resources. If there are resources that you need that we do not have that are reasonable, please let us know, and we will see if we can get those resources. We also, one important part that everyone is engaged with right now is with human resources and the health and safety of the campus as well. So with that, I'm going to ask Ms. Bridget Wilder to present to us some more on our campus health and safety plan. Ms. Wilder?
Thank you, President Fedrick. In preparing today's update for the campus community, Human Resources wanted to focus on topics that were important to the campus community. So in looking at the questions that we've received, today's briefing is going to focus on 3 key areas. The first being when an employee tests positive, what they should do. In regards to this, there's 2 parts to it. The first part being, if you test positive, you should leave campus immediately, go home, and isolate. The second part is, when do you return back to work? In answering that, the key is that you need to be mindful of 4 criteria that was defined by the Department of Health and CDC. The first prong is that you have no fever for at least 72 hours, and that is without the use of fever reducers such as Tylenol or ibuprofen. The second component is that your other symptoms must have improved as well. And this can vary for some. That could be fatigue, it could be chills, it can be cough. Whatever your symptoms are, those symptoms must have improved. The third prong is that at least 10 days must have passed before the first onset of your symptoms. And finally, the fourth criteria is that before returning to work, you coordinate with HR so that we can have a structured and streamlined process for your return and ensure that you have all necessary things to return to the workplace. So all four of these criteria must be met. Now, the second topic that we've gotten lots of questions on is what options are there for employees if they want to do professional development? And so I've highlighted a few of those here tonight. The first is with SkillSoft, which is an online training that offers hundreds of course titles ranging from Microsoft Office, various business skills, management and leadership training, as well as customer service. To find out more about that, you can go to USG Learning, or you can go directly to your supervisor. They have been provided a course catalog as well as the sign-on information. USG, as well as our Employee Assistance Program through EAP, offer additional courses on things such as our well-being and financial literacy. I know I've talked about well-being before. When we talk about that, we're focusing on the holistic you, meaning your mental, your physical, as well as your emotional. All of that is part of your well-being, and that's something that we want you to take care of. So definitely check these resources out on USG, as well as our KeyPro Employee Assistance Program. Many are free webinars, on-demand webinars, and they have articles to various things as well about keeping fit, both mentally, physically, and mentally. And that leads to my next slide. We wanted to share this information because we thought it was really important that you understood how USG is taking care of us as a community of their employees. So on the first link, you'll see a website. There's a specific website dedicated to the benefits and resources that are available to you as an employee. And I'm just highlighting a few of these on our website. As you can see from the healthcare component, if you are currently enrolled in Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield or Kaiser, any visits or testing that you do related to COVID-19 are 100% covered. Now, let's say that you don't have health care through the USG plan. You still can do a telehealth visit, and the cost of that is only $59. And finally, in regards to a new COVID information line that is provided through the state of Georgia, there's a phone number that if you have questions or want information about COVID or testing facilities, you can call that. And that number is 1-844-442-2681. Go to that website that I have listed on here to find out even more about the various things that are available through your health insurance and other resources. Madam President, that concludes my update for Human Resources.
Thank you, Ms. Wilder. Make sure you all pick up on those websites. Your well-being is extremely important. We want to remain healthy and get even healthier. So please check out those websites. And you will also see in a couple of months, we're going to get a little more aggressive on our workplace wellness, and more to come on that. So look forward to that. Next, before we move on, I'm going to ask Dr. Peters to go into some more detail on, go into detail on our academic instruction and how that has changed and will change for fall 2020. Dr. Peters?
Thank you, Madam President. And hello, faculty and staff. ASU's goal is to ensure as much face-to-face instructional experiences as possible while we maintain social distancing protocols. We are very serious, faculty and staff, about providing our students the best educational experience while maximizing opportunities to keep our students, our staff, and our faculty safe. With this in mind, our students will have early access to course content in Georgia View beginning August 3rd. So for fall instruction, Our course modality for face-to-face courses will be offered in a hybrid format. This means that a portion of the students will be physically in the room with you, the instructor, and the remaining students will be viewing the class remotely in a synchronous fashion, or the remainder of the students will be viewing the class and working online in an asynchronous fashion. So I'd like to thank the faculty for submitting their instructional plans to the chairs last week on how they would deliver their hybrid format. It's very important, faculty, that you notify your students about their hybrid class assignment rotation via Georgia View. You should have received information from your chairs about how to create this student rotational assignment in Georgia View. I'm excited about the first day of class. So the first day of class for our students will be 100% virtual, 100% virtual, although our fully online classes will have no changes. So remember, if you have a fully online class, then you will continue to teach your class online. But for our face-to-face classes, they will be offered in a synchronous or asynchronous rotation. If you have a face-to-face class, your first day of class, regardless of the day of the week, will be taught virtually through our WebEx. Students will be in class virtually on the first day. However, we ask that the faculty teach all of their face-to-face classes from their assigned classroom on campus. President Fedrick mentioned the state-of-the-art technology that will be available in each classroom to assist faculty with their hybrid course delivery. Again, your students will log into Georgia View on day one of each class. They will participate in the class virtually for day one. However, you as the instructor will physically be in your assigned classroom location using your TrueTouch WebEx classroom technology. We suggested on your first day of class, you take the time to explain your syllabi, explain the class rotation, explain how you will take attendance in Georgia View, and explain to the students how you will grade their assignments. Explain to them the grade book feature in Georgia View. Now, ITS has sent various emails to faculty to schedule training on how to use this new state-of-the-art video conferencing technology that is in our classrooms on East Campus, West Campus, and the Cordele campus. In addition, ITS and the Center for Faculty Excellence, they will be holding faculty development training seminars. So they're going to hold at least 8 training seminars for our TrueTouch WebEx classroom technology during the week of August 4th through 6th, and you will receive more information about that. If faculty, you need face-to-face with social distancing training from our ITS staff on using the new technology that is in the classroom, you can reach them at 229-500-4357. Or you can always contact your dean and your chair or our Associate Provost Kadee. We have had great success in the spring with our faculty coaches. The faculty coaches in the spring were our faculty mentors. For fall, we are going to capitalize on the success that we had in the spring. We're going to continue to invest in our faculty coaches so that they can help you, the faculty. We are delighted to have faculty coaches who are going to be able to help you. They will be able to provide one-on-one support to help you develop your hybrid courses, or they can also help you with the technology portion of your class. If you feel, faculty, as though you need that extra support the first day of class, if you need that extra support, please contact your dean or the new Associate Provost, Dr. Kadee, by Wednesday. Again, if you need that extra support to deliver the first day of class utilizing the new video conferencing technology that is provided in each classroom, please contact your dean or Associate Provost Kadee by Wednesday. We will make sure that you have a faculty coach to guide you during the first day of your virtual class. And I'm going to end my presentation by talking about a few faculty expectations. Faculty, we ask that you hold a mixture of virtual and in-person office hours. if they cannot be done, as long as they can be done social distancing. For example, your in-person assignments, your in-person appointments might need to be conducted in larger spaces if your faculty office cannot accommodate social distancing. Again, we ask for a mixture of your virtual and in-person office hours. I'd also like to remind you to update your course syllabi to make sure that you include on your course syllabi your selected hybrid format. Please contact the Center for Faculty Excellence. They have standard syllabi template that we would like you to use in all of your courses. Please remember, faculty, that we are going to continue our attendance verification as usual, and you will be receiving early alert progress reporting dates of when you should submit your early alert progress report. I want to encourage faculty to convert your classroom assignments, your quizzes, your paper assignments, your projects, your exams. Please convert your classroom assignments to an electronic format. Why? Because we want to minimize the exchange of paper in the classroom. We want to cut down on any amount of possible contamination. We ask that you administer your exams and your quizzes in the same environment for all students in the class. This means that given that we are offering our courses in a hybrid format, that we're asking you to administer your exams, your classroom assignments, and your quizzes virtually for all students. And lastly, faculty, I'd like to thank you for all that you have done for our students. And I will turn this report back over to Madam President.
Thank you, Dr. Peters. So she went over a whole lot of information, and we'll repeat that, some of it, during the faculty staff conference beginning next week. So remember, this information will be on our website, our Reunited website, and we'll keep going through it. So we'll also say, Dr. Peters made a call. If you need help, please let us know you need help, and we will seek the resources that you need in order to serve our students to the best of our ability. So let us know if you need any other resources. At this time, I'm going to ask Vice President Kenyatta Johnson to go into some details on our management, recruitment, and admissions to the university. So with that said, Ms. Johnson, can you take over?
Good evening, President Fedrick. This summer, enrollment management and student success, we transitioned to a staggered work schedule. And with that, our intent was to accommodate social distancing. And so as we prepare for the start of the fall semester, our operations will continue to be modified. The Ram Central Call Center will be open during normal business hours. And we have advised callers that we currently have a high call volume, and we recommend they send an email to Ram Central, and a representative will respond within 24 hours. The Ram Central front counter visits will be managed by appointment only using the QLIS app. We will send communication on instructions on the appointment process. We will also have student leaders stationed in the lobby on both East and West Campus to assist students with making appointments during the first 2 weeks of school. The East Campus Ram Central location will be open in the lobby of BCB beginning August 3rd through August 14th. For faculty and staff who need ID card pictures, we are asking that you use the online option to upload your ID picture. If you require a reprint of your ID card, or you need to purchase a parking decal, please make an appointment to visit Ram Central on the West Campus. Turning to admissions and recruitment, we have implemented virtual recruitment sessions that allow our prospective students and their parents the opportunity to register for a one-on-one recruitment session or a small group recruitment session. We are currently finalizing our plans to move our signature recruitment events, such as our ASU Days, our presidential bus tour, our counselor retreat, and our open house to a virtual format. Our final new student orientation will be held on Friday, August 7th, and it will be in a virtual format, similar to June and July sessions. We will have a watchroom available on both East and West Campus in the auditoriums to accommodate social distancing for students who are on campus who do not have technology to log into the session. Those rooms will be limited to a capacity of 50. We will host a live moderated Q&A session to provide a final opportunity to answer participant questions. Now turning to academic advising. The Academic Advising and Retention Center is available to assist students virtually. Students must make an appointment with their academic success coach via the appointment link in EAB. And if a student contacts you and does not have an assigned advisor or is unable to reach their advisor, please direct students to call the center at 229-500-2002, or they can email academicadvising@asurams.edu and someone will assist them. Finally, I want to say thank you to all of the continued support of the Division of Enrollment Management and Student Success, and we look forward to the start of the fall semester. President Fedrick, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Vice President Johnson. And I will say that, like so many others, financial aid, enrollment management, advisement, and recruitment have been constantly on board since even when we went out. So thank you for that, and thanks for your leadership as well. We're going to get into our student portion, and I'm going to ask Dr. Lindsay to give us some details and some updates on our testing, housing, dining, counseling, and student life. Dr. Lindsay?
Thank you, President Fedrick, and good evening, everyone. In terms of testing, we are finalizing the development of a sustainable and comprehensive surveillance testing plan that will include on-campus testing for faculty, staff, and students. More information will be available before the end of the week. ASU will follow the protocols and guidance from Georgia Department of Public Health regarding testing, screening, contact tracing, and notification. Students who test positive for COVID-19 should isolate immediately, contact Student Health Services for instructions and next steps, make arrangements to return home, and remain home until cleared to return to campus. Students living on campus must take responsibility for their own behavior by following the instructions and guidance that will be shared during move-in. Campus move-in will be by appointment only and staggered. Educational information about COVID-19 will be shared and posted throughout the residence halls. As Mr. McGee said earlier, complimentary face coverings and hand sanitizers will be distributed to all residential students. Our residence life staff will be trained on COVID-19 health and safety protocols. For the health and safety of our students, there will be no overnight guests in the residence halls. Students will be required to wear face coverings and practice social distancing. No more than 2 guests will be permitted in a room at a time. The enforcement process will include verbal warnings and a written documentation. Social distancing will be required in all dining facilities. Disposable utensils and products will be used at every line and location. The dining hall capacity will be limited, so to-go boxes will be available at all meals. The meal plan swipes will be activated and available starting August 4th. Dining dollars will be activated on August 24th. Hours for dining services are available online. In terms of counseling services, to increase our ability to serve many students, we will utilize the Meta Mental Health platform. More information about that will be available soon. Student Health Services. Student Health Services will operate with appointment only via an online reservation system. The center will be open normally. ASU is requiring faculty, staff, and students to self-monitor. All employees and students are asked to complete a HIPAA secured an ASU-linked online symptom checker daily. Sorry. In terms of our student organization will continue to operate but practice social distancing. Some activities may not occur, others will be modified or to virtual or the hybrid format. President Fedrick, this concludes my report.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Lindsay. A lot is going on with our students, and our student affairs team is on track, waiting for our students to start moving in next week on August the 3rd, 4th. I think all the way through next week. Also, the week of welcome will be next week, different than we've had in the past, but we will have a week of welcome next week as well. So look for our students to be on campus, and please help to guide them and get them in the right direction. Our freshmen will be coming in first as usual, so may not be used to our campus. So please help them to get situated and organized as well as you can. We're almost to the end before we do questions and answers, but I'm going to also ask Mr. Tony Duckworth, our athletics director, to give us a quick update on fall sports and to let us know kind of where we are with that. Mr. Duckworth?
Thank you, President Fedrick. Good evening, Golden Rams. I just wanted to take the opportunity to speak to you guys a little bit tonight about what our plans are for this coming fall. As you know, our student athletes return for voluntary summer workouts in early July. It's only a small part of our overall student body or student athlete makeup, but we're pleased with how they've adjusted to the new protocols and all the things that we've put in place. One thing I did think the community would like to hear is that all of our student athletes have been required to produce a negative COVID-19 test before they enter campus. That's also going to include those student athletes who did not return for voluntary workouts, but will be coming back next week. They'll provide that negative test as well. The athletic training room, the weight room, our team activities have all been modified for social distancing, and our staff, our coaches, and our student athletes have done a tremendous job in adjusting to these new protocols. Now, many of you realize back on July 9th of 2020, we made a decision in conjunction with the SIAC to suspend fall sports until further notice. This was a challenging decision, but again, the health and safety of our coaches, campus community, and student athletes is paramount. So at that time, we made a decision to move forward with hopefully evaluating throughout the fall and looking at opportunities, if health conditions improve, to move our fall sports, including football, to the spring semester. Now, the final thing I would like to ask our faculty and staff to think about is we have approximately 300 student athletes that will be returning to Albany State next week. Sports is a major part of their lives, and at this point, they're not going to have that element of competition that they look forward to. So whatever you can do to think about our student athletes, encourage them as they're going through this adjustment would be greatly appreciated. We look forward to having everyone back this fall semester, and I look forward to seeing many of you in the coming days. President Fedrick, this concludes the athletics report.
Thank you, Dr. Before we get started on the next portion, so we brought everybody back on the screen so they can help answer the questions. They will probably answer all of the questions, and I'll just read them. But before we do, I do want to just publicly just give this cabinet a huge thank you for all that they do to support Albany State. I've not seen people work as hard as they have continued to do through the summer. I don't think any of them have had a day off yet. My apologies for that, but that's kind of business as usual for us, unfortunately. But I do want to tell you all thank you. We couldn't have gone through this plan, and we have, of course, some members that are not actually on the screen right now, but you all know them, and really thank you for all that you're doing. The task force and leading the task force to get us back has been a huge huge task. And so you lay down on top of everything that they are doing every day. I know they're exhausted. I told them they can all take off Christmas time maybe, but they have been at it heavy since even before we left, of course. But it seems like double time since we've left. So I just want to give you a personal thank you publicly to let people know and to let you all know how much I appreciate what you are doing. Doesn't feel like it sometimes, I know, but I do appreciate all the work that you're putting on the table for our university. So thank you. We are going to run into some questions, go over some questions that were submitted earlier. So all the pre-submitted questions, we're going to go through those. And then I think we'll have just a little bit of time after that to go over additional questions if you put them in the comment section. So with that said, I'm going to ask Mr. McClintock to put the questions up, Mr. McClinton, to put the questions up, and we will go from there. What happens if a student forgets a mask? I'm going to ask Mr. McGee to answer that question for me.
Thank you, President Fedrick. So, as we stated earlier in the update tonight, we're going to have some extra masks. They're going to be stationed in classrooms. They're going to be stationed in the academic departments near classrooms. If a student forgets a mask, we've planned for that. We plan to have extra ones available. They just need to ask the instructor or the departmental admin to, for additional masks.
Thank you, Mr. McGee. And remember, we're going to start out with making sure that everyone has a mask handy. And if you need additional masks, we will have those masks out. Next question. How much flexibility do I have to change my class schedule? And this question was asked with a little bit more context around it. It was from a faculty member, of course, that was concerned about their comfort level in the classroom. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Peters.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Madam President. So you will have very little flexibility to change your class schedule. If you have any concerns about your schedule or any concerns at all, please feel free to contact me, but more importantly, your dean and your chair are available also. But to answer the question, you will have very little flexibility to change a class schedule.
Okay. All right. And next question. The question is up. I cannot see it. There we go. What are the expectations for office hours? And I'm assuming that's faculty office hours, so I'm going to send that back to Dr. Peters.
All right. Thank you, Madam President. The expectation for faculty office hours is that you have a mixture of face-to-face office hours while practicing social distancing and virtual office hours. Thank you, Madam President.
All right. Next question. If I've been exposed to someone who is positive but does not have symptoms, should I get tested? I think I'm going to send that one to Dr. Lindsay or Ms. Wilder.
Okay, so I will answer from the employee perspective. If you've been exposed to someone but are not experiencing symptoms, we still want you to follow a certain protocol. You'll let your supervisor know that you have been exposed or have tested positive, and they in turn will get in touch with HR. And from that particular point, your supervisor is going to ask you to go home and to isolate or quarantine. And then once HR is notified, we were going to notify the need to know campus administrators, meaning not every administrator needs to know that you're going to be on quarantine or isolation because of COVID. So the key people that we will notify is the president. We will notify the director of student health services because we partner with the director of student health services in contacting the Department of Health so that they are aware that you're going to be tested, and they also will handle the contact tracing. Additionally, internally, we will notify your division VP, as well as we will notify the Director of Facilities Management. Now, keep in mind, in terms of your name, the Director of Facilities Management does not need to know. They just need to know that we have a exposure or a positive, and we need some cleaning to occur, and that will occur after hours. So that is the overall protocol. The other component of that sometimes people have a question about is, will their information, such as their test results, be kept in their personnel file? And no, it will not. We're going to maintain your privacy and keep that information in a secure file outside of your personnel file.
Thank you. And Dr. Lindsay, did you need to add anything on that from the student standpoint?
To someone who tested positive, if you are a residential student, you should isolate immediately to your residence hall. If you're an off-campus student, isolate to your off-campus apartment or residence. Contact Student Health Services immediately for next steps, and immediately make arrangements to return home. And again, as I said earlier, remain home until cleared to return to campus.
Dr. Lindsay. Thank you, Dr. Lindsay. Rest assured that before I do this next question, rest assured that next week during our faculty staff conference, I'm going to ask Dr. Phillips to probably do a little bit more in-depth kind of discussion about how the tests are handled and what you can expect during the test. So we'll get into some more detail. Our testing vendors, we'll go into some depth with that as well, and we'll save that for next week. Next question, when can an employee return to work once they test negative for COVID-19? Ms. Wilder?
Okay, so I'm just going to kind of recap what I mentioned earlier in regards to this. Once an employee has tested negative prior to returning to work, there are a couple of things that we're going to have to do. The employee is going to have a conversation with myself or a member of the HR team. And beyond the test, we want to ask you some questions regarding your symptoms. And those symptoms, again, will be that you have not had a fever in the last 72 hours without the use of fever reducers such as Tylenol or ibuprofen. The other component is that your other symptoms, regardless of what they may be, fatigue, shortness of breath, chills, whatever your specific symptoms have been during this occurrence, they have improved as well. And finally, you have coordinated with HR prior to returning to work when you will be returning. And we'll be working closely as well with your leadership so that we have everything scheduled and you know when you're going to be returning. So that is the appropriate protocol for when you are ready to return to work.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Wilder. Do we have more questions? Okay. How will offices be cleaned and prepared for faculty? Mr. McGee?
Thank you, President Fedrick. So as we mentioned earlier in the presentation, facilities has been busy going about cleaning, putting together their schedules. They're going to do, the increased frequencies, and faculty offices are going to be no different. As we prepare to ramp up, they're going to do a final sort of sweep through those areas and make sure they're all prepared, clean, sanitized appropriately. As I stated earlier, as people return to campus, we're going to ask that, just as we did the staff when they returned in the summer, when faculty return, if you see something, you see a facility issue, please submit a work order ticket so that facilities can address it as quickly as possible. We've sent communications out on how to do that for those as a reminder, and we'll continue to send out reminders on how to do that.
Thank you, Mr. McGee. All right, we may have a couple more questions. Is there a campus map that indicates the new entry and exits for each building? All right, I'm going to send that back to Mr. McGee.
So the primary entrances and exits have not changed, so it doesn't really require a new map. What you need to pay attention to is that as you approach the buildings and the entrance ways, there's clear signage on which door is an entrance and which door is an exit. And so let that guide you. There's also additional markers on the ground, and there's even some lanes and some physical separating. We have some planters and some bright yellow sort of tapes establishing walking lanes to kind of maintain separation and distance. So again, we haven't shut off any exits or closed them off per se, but we have designated them as entrance and exits, and the signage is pretty clear. So just as you approach the building, the signage will dictate which door you should enter and which door you should exit.
Thank you. All right. Is there a non-telehealth procedure for counseling services if the need is urgent? For instance, student depression, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to say yes first, and then I'm going to send it over to Dr. Lindsay.
Thank you, President Fedrick. And the answer is yes. So counseling services will offer both telehealth and non-telehealth. Non-telehealth will be used primarily for emergency situation, but that's being evaluated to see if it can be used in other ways. But both telehealth and non-telehealth will be available for students.
Thank you, Dr. Lindsay. Dr. Lindsay mentioned MetaHealth earlier, and that is a program that we're implementing to help augment our counseling and disability services counselors. So it doesn't replace that function. It is just there to support and kind of expand on that. As we know, we're coming back from a really difficult spring and summer. I anticipate our students will need that extra help. And that is why we're putting that in place. We hope to be able to keep it in place if it works well for us. But that will be there, and support for our students will be there as well. Next question. All right, I think we've gotten probably to the end of our questions that we've gotten in. Continue to go ahead and email us on our COVID-19 website for questions, and we'll get those answered. Let me just start before we finish. It is so important that everybody takes a full measure in this process. The team is really hard to make sure that we have everything in place to get our students back safely, and hopefully they're able to stay for the whole semester. That's the plan. We're doing everything we can to make sure that they are as safe as they can be on our campus. If there's something that needs to be done that has not been done and that you cannot do not hesitate to reach out to us and let us know what that is. We want to address anything that's not in the right place, and we want to make sure that we have those resources in place for everyone. With that, I'm going to go ahead and have a couple of technical difficulties as we get to the end. Remember to wear your mask, physical distance, and please make sure you're taking care of yourself and advantage of the well-being programs that we have as well. So with that, I'm going to say good night and thank you, and we will see you again next